Every night at 7 p.m. sharp, neighbors on Maple Street hear the same heartbreaking sound echoing through the darkness, a voice calling out desperately into the silence. "Margaret, Margaret, come back to me." But Margaret will never answer again. 3 weeks ago, 78-year-old Margaret Collins collapsed in her kitchen from a sudden heart attack. She was gone before the paramedics arrived. Her 40-year companion, Charlie, watched from his cage as strangers carried her away. Nobody thought to explain to Charlie what had happened. How do you tell a parrot that the love of his life is never coming home? So Charlie waits. Every single evening, he performs the same ritual that Margaret taught him decades ago. At exactly 7 p.m., he calls her name with the same loving tone she used to cherish. "Margaret, good night, my love. Sweet dreams, beautiful." His voice carries through the walls, across the yard, into the hearts of neighbors who stop whatever they're doing to listen. Mrs. Patterson next door says it's the most beautiful and heartbreaking sound she's ever heard. 21 nights have passed since Margaret's death. 21 nights of Charlie's faithful vigil. He has no concept of death, no understanding that she's gone forever. In his world, Margaret is simply late coming home. But this story of unwavering loyalty and love goes deeper than anyone imagined. If you're finding value in this, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Margaret was 24 when she found Charlie, a small, injured bird abandoned near her apartment building in 1983. She nursed him back to health with the devotion of a mother. Charlie wasn't just rescued, he was chosen. What began as rescue became something extraordinary, a bond that would span 4 decades of unwavering loyalty. Every morning at 7:15, Margaret would greet Charlie with the same phrase, "Good morning, my beautiful boy." Charlie memorized every word, every tone, every inflection of love in Margaret's voice became part of his very soul. He learned her favorite songs, her nervous habits, the way she hummed while doing dishes. Charlie became Margaret's living echo, but it was the evening ritual that sealed their bond forever. Every night at 8:30, Margaret would sit beside Charlie's cage. She would tell him about her day, her worries, her dreams. Charlie listened to every word with the intensity of a devoted child. Then came the moment Charlie treasured most. Margaret would whisper, "Sweet dreams, Charlie. I love you so much," night after night, year after year. For 40 years, this sacred ritual never changed. It was their promise to each other. Charlie didn't just learn Margaret's words. He absorbed her love, her essence. Her very heartbeat became the... Scientists have spent decades studying how animals process loss. What they discovered will break your heart. Unlike humans, most animals cannot comprehend the finality of death. They only know someone is gone. For Charlie, Margaret didn't die. She simply vanished without explanation or goodbye. Research shows parrots form bonds as strong as human relationships. When that bond breaks, chaos follows. Within days of Margaret's passing, Charlie's behavior changed dramatically. The signs were impossible to ignore. He stopped eating his favorite foods. The treats Margaret used to give him sat untouched. Then came the feather plucking, a clear sign of severe psychological distress in intelligent birds. Veterinarians call this separation anxiety disorder. In parrots, it can be life-threatening. Charlie's world had collapsed. but his mind couldn't process why Margaret wasn't coming back. Studies reveal that highly intelligent birds can experience depression identical to humans. They withdraw from social interaction. They lose interest in activities they once loved. But Charlie had one coping mechanism that separated him from other grieving animals. He could call for Margaret, using the one thing that made their bond unique: her own voice. At first, the neighbors were just annoyed. Night after night, the same piercing voice echoed through the thin apartment walls. "Margaret! Margaret!" The calls would start around 9 p.m. and continue for hours. Angry phone calls flooded the building manager's office. Nobody knew that Margaret's apartment had been silent for 3 weeks. The building manager finally had to break the news to the complaining residents. Margaret had passed away suddenly. Her loyal companion had no idea. The complaints stopped immediately. What had been an annoyance became a heartbreaking reminder of grief that knows no bounds. Mrs. Patterson from apartment 2B began leaving food outside Margaret's door. The young couple next door started playing soft music to comfort the grieving bird. Even Mr. Rodriguez, who had complained the loudest, found himself listening with tears in his eyes. The entire building now understood they were witnessing something profound. A community had formed around one bird's unwavering love. African gray parrots possess one of nature's most extraordinary gifts. Their memory spans not just years, but decades. Every sound, every inflection, every emotional nuance gets locked away forever. Charlie doesn't just remember Margaret's voice. He has recreated it with haunting perfection. When he calls her name, neighbors stop in their tracks. They swear they hear Margaret herself calling back. The timing is perfect. The tone, identical. It's not just mimicry. It's emotional archaeology. Charlie remembers the exact way Margaret said, "Good morning, sweetheart," on sunny days. He recalls her worried calls during thunderstorms. Scientists know that trauma and love create the strongest memory imprints. Charlie experienced both in overwhelming measure. Now those memories play on repeat, night after night. After 3 months in temporary care, Charlie's fate finally became clear. Margaret's niece, Sarah, had been living across the country, but family duty called her home. She had never owned a bird, let alone a 40-year-old parrot drowning in grief. The day of Charlie's relocation arrived. His cage was loaded into Sarah's car like precious cargo. Charlie remained silent during the drive. His world was changing again. Sarah's home was bright and modern. Everything Margaret's house was not. She placed Charlie's cage in the corner. He immediately turned his back to the room. For days, Charlie refused to eat. He wouldn't respond to Sarah's gentle voice. Sarah tried everything: soft music, Margaret's favorite songs, even recordings of her aunt's voice. Nothing worked. Charlie's grief was a fortress that no stranger could breach. But Sarah noticed something. Every evening at sunset, Charlie's behavior changed. He would move to the front of his cage. His head would tilt upward. And then, like clockwork, Charlie's voice would fill the silence of Sarah's home. Sarah finally understood. Charlie wasn't calling for Margaret. He was calling to her. 6 months have passed since Charlie found his new home with Sarah and her family. But every evening, as the sun begins to set, Charlie still calls out, "Margaret! Margaret!" The name echoes through Sarah's house with unwavering devotion. Sarah could have tried to train him out of this habit. Most people would. Instead, she made a decision that would change everything. She honors Charlie's evening ritual. She gives him space to remember. Because Sarah understands something profound about love and loss. Grief isn't something to fix. It's something to honor. Charlie's loyalty has taught his new family about the true nature of enduring love. Some bonds are so deep that not even death can break them. Every night, Charlie proves that true love transcends the physical world. Margaret may be gone, but in Charlie's heart, she will never truly leave. This is the lesson Charlie teaches us all. Love doesn't end. It simply finds new ways to be expressed. If this opened your eyes, smash that like button and subscribe for more.